What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm gonna give you my top 5 games of 2024. Even though I'm recording this video in 2025. I know, a little late to the party, but guess what? It's only January 3rd when I'm recording this. There's still so much left of 2025 that this is practically 2024 week 53, right? This week doesn't really count towards the 2025 goals, media, whatever. But we are marching on. We're powering through this adversity and talking about my 5 favorite games of 2024, along with a few honorable mentions. So let's get into it. I've got a few honorable mentions first, so let's get into those before we get to the list proper. My first honorable mention is College Football 25. Now, a lot of people who are video game fans aren't sports fans. The overlap isn't as large as you might expect, but I am someone who stands in the middle of that Venn diagram. And as I've mentioned in some other videos, I do really like sports games. So when I heard that College Football, EA's flagship college game that they made for years back in the day, was coming back, I was super excited. If you're involved at all with football Twitter or just in football communities anywhere, you know the legend of the old EA college football games. They were incredible for their robust features and gameplay methods and just different ways to have a college football experience on your gaming console. And I'm happy to say that I think they lived up to the hype with this new entry. I'll be honest, I never got huge into like the recruiting stuff. It was always too complicated for me, and it's still too complicated for me now on the Xbox Series X. But in watching other people play the game, it seems like it's just as robust as before. You can stalk prospects you're scouting on social media. You can fly out to their home. You can text them. There's a mode where you become a college football player, and not only do you have to perform well in the games, but you have to deal with like different vices of like, oh, we're partying tonight. Hey, you want to come out, or do you want to focus on your studies and your gameplay? And speaking of the gameplay, not that kind of gameplay, it's wild and it's goofy, but it's fun. I think that's what sports simulators should be at their core. Realistic to the sport they're portraying, but also kind of goofy and fun if you want that experience out of the game. The gameplay goes along with that as well. If you've ever watched college football, you know it's insane, and it's far more chaotic than NFL football. And I think they capture that well. The way the ball bounces in this game, and again, if you're not a sports fan, you're not going to care about this, but the way that the ball bounces in this game and the way that like players move, it's kind of chaotic. You never really know what to expect, but I think that's what college football is kind of all about, and they portrayed it really well in this game, and I think that's really cool. My next honorable mention is Mario and Luigi Brothership, and this is only an honorable mention and not on the list because I just didn't get to finish it. I didn't have enough time because it's really long. I think I spent 15 hours in it, and I wasn't even close to the end of it, which you can call a discredit to the game. I don't really think it's the game's fault. Like, it's an RPG, right? It's a longer game. Even if it is a Mario and Luigi RPG, it's still an RPG at its core. It's going to have a story. It's going to have, longer battles and stuff like that. So I understand why it's long. That also means that I didn't get through it in time to record this video and talk about it. That said, what I did play, I really liked. I thought it was a really funny game. I love the characters in it. I think the art style is great and super colorful. And oh my goodness, the soundtrack in this game is absurd. It's my favorite soundtrack of 2024, and I haven't even heard the whole thing. There could be songs later in the game that captivate me that I don't even know exist. But from what I've heard, every single overworld theme is incredible. The battle theme is amazing. I love the use of like brass instruments and horns on this OST. They're everywhere and they sound so good. There's one theme. It almost sounds like something Masafumi Takada would make, if you know him, legendary producer, worked on the Danganronpa series, among others, with the array of brass instruments and horns that are used in such a playful way. It's just so good. And obviously the gameplay is classic Mario and Luigi, super fun, super engaging. Again, what I've played of it, really good, but I'm not going to put it on the list because I didn't finish it. My third honorable mention is a game I do... My third honorable mention... I can't say honorable, dude. My third honorable mention is a game I don't have physically. I bought it on the Xbox shop, and I actually bought it the day it came out. but I didn't play it until this year, and that's Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yes, this is a game that came out in 2023, but I, for some reason, put it off until 2024. And again, I literally bought it on release week, and I just never started it for some reason. I don't know why. That was dumb. It was very dumb. But I'm glad I played it this year because, oh my god, it is amazing. It takes everything that was great about Resident Evil 4 and just makes it better. The game looks stunning. The gameplay is as fun as ever. Obviously, the story, I think, is the best Resident Evil story, as silly as it is. And it's a little bit changed here, but from what I could tell, it wasn't really that different. It's still Resident Evil 4. I just think it's a perfect remake. It's not too radical in changing what was a really amazing game before, but it's also not afraid to tweak certain things and add certain things that make the experience better. I think that's what a perfect remake should do. It should give you a unique, fun experience to the original game, but it shouldn't replace the original game, especially when the game is as good as RE4 was back on the GameCube. I do have one 2023 game on my top 5 list. I didn't want to put 2, and I liked the other one a little more than RE4 Remake, and also, it's an old game. It wasn't a new game released in 2023. It was a remake released in 2023. So I gave the other 2023 game on my list priority because that one is a new game that came out last year. And since I didn't play too many games this year, to the point where I couldn't really come up with a top 10, I didn't want 40% of the list to be taken up with games that didn't come out this year, because that would be kind of silly. All right, so I said that I had 3 honorable mentions, but that's a lie. I actually have 4 because I did the math wrong. I thought I had 5 games. I actually had a top 6. And so I'm cutting the bottom game from the top 6. We're making it a top 5, and this is my 4th honorable mention, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I definitely did not just record a whole segment where I said it was my number 5 game of 2024. That didn't happen. It's my 4th honorable mention, and here's why. If you saw my review on the game, you'll know that I was kind of mixed on it. It's a good game, no doubt, but there are some flaws that held it back from being one of my favorite Zelda games ever. That said, the game is still really good. The story is awesome. I think it's dark and foreboding, but it's also got that Zelda charm that we're all used to, and the boss is an original character. It's not Ganon again, which I thought was really cool. Also, the NPCs and characters in this game are just so lovable. They're so well written, and of course, there's Conte, who is just the GOAT. I just love Conte so much, as I said before in that video. Also, the OST for this game, it's not Brothership level good, because that OST, from what I've heard, is just, it's so good from what I've experienced so far. But I really do like the Echoes of Wisdom OST. I've seen mixed reactions to it online, but I really enjoy it the more I go back to it. The opening theme, obviously, is incredible. But man, it's just one of my favorite Zelda OSTs overall, which is saying something because obviously the bar is high for Zelda original soundtracks. So yeah, that's why it is just an honorable mention for me. I was really hyped for this game, didn't really live up to that hype, but you could argue that's my fault, and I still did like it. So if it was a top 6, it would be number 6. And it almost was number 6 because I can't do math right. And also, I don't have it physically because Best Buy didn't want to ship my order. So I said, screw you, Best Buy. I canceled my order and I bought it digitally. So that's what happened. By the way, small rant. Can Nintendo and Amazon get over their beef? Because, oh my gosh, Amazon always deliver the games day and date. You pre-order the game, it came out, you got it on release day, you played it. Now, it's the Wild Wild West, where it's like Target and Best Buy who say, yeah, we might ship you the game on release day, but we might not. Spoiler alert, this game right here, Jamboree, is going to be on the list. And they delivered my friggin' tote bag that I got as a pre-order bonus a day before they delivered the actual game. I don't want the tote bag, I want the game. Thanks for the tote bag, I'm glad you got expedited shipping on that, but I didn't order a $60 tote bag, I ordered the new Mario Party game. I had to wait a day to play it because they took too long. I know, first world problems, right? You don't want to hear me yap about this, but I don't know, annoying. Amazon, just make up with Nintendo, because you guys got it on lock. You guys know how to ship a damn game that I pre-order. All right, this is getting off the rails. Let's get to number 5, and it's a digital game, so all of that pre-order nonsense does not apply here. It's Pocket Card Jockey, which technically isn't a new game because I think it was on the 3DS and mobile devices years ago, but it was a new game to me because I had not really heard of it until it came out on Switch after getting announced in the partner showcase this February, and I heard really good things about it when it got announced. People said, "Oh my god, this game is incredible. I was addicted to this game back in the day, blah, blah, blah." And I said, okay, I've got to check this out, and thank goodness I did. Or maybe not thank goodness, because I kind of also got addicted to it. The premise of Pocket Card Jockey is it's solitaire and horse racing combined, but also those two activities are taken to Mach 11. It is super fast, and it can be a little stressful trying to do the right matches on solitaire before you go into the race. Basically, the better you do in a game of solitaire, the faster your horse races in the race. It sounds really stupid, but when you play it, you realize just how incredible this gameplay loop is, and you quickly get addicted to it. The coolest thing I think about Pocket Card Jockey, though, is that it's not just the game itself. There's a lot of cool little features. It keeps a history of every cup you've won with your horse, so there's kind of an achievement system in the game, and also there's a breeding system. So if you get enough horses, you can have them breed together after they're retired to make a baby horse for you to train up and take on in races itself, which is just wild. Finally, the dialogue in this game. There's not a lot of it, but there's a few characters that you meet along the way, and they're all very fun. You can tell the developers had a lot of fun making this game. There's a lot of heart put into it, and I really love when that jumps off of the screen, like it does in Pocket Card Jockey. So, you know, it's not a huge AAA game, but I was really taken by Pocket Card Jockey this year, and it's one that's going to stay in my rotation for a while. It's super fun. Number 4 on the list, I've got Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remade for the Nintendo Switch. And just like with Resident Evil 4, it's hard to come up with things to say about this because it's kind of just more Thousand Year Door. And like that Resident Evil remake, it does a really good job of improving on the original game without outright replacing it. First of all, this game looks incredible. Oh my goodness. What they've done with this game, which looked really good on the GameCube, is just remarkable. I mean, these set pieces, they look like actual theater sets. Every little part is crafted in such a detailed and accurate way. I feel like the last few Paper Marios have been trying to reach this aesthetic, but for whatever reason, they haven't really been able to, and it hasn't looked quite as good as it should. But man, it looks incredible in this game. They should use this engine for the next Paper Mario because I know it's just going to look incredible if they do. Everything's super glossy and shiny as well, which goes with that theater aesthetic. It's like the theater just got cleaned because there's a big performance tonight. It's Mario and his pals going on the adventure of their life. I just love what they've done graphically to this original game to kind of raise it up. The other cool change they've done in this game is with Vivian's story. In the original game, I don't think they specifically mentioned Vivian's trans identity, but in the remake, it is very clear why Bedlam treats her so poorly, right? It's about her identity. It's not about anything else. And not only is that good to see because in the original game, they kind of skirt around that talking point, but it also just adds another layer of emotion to what is a really emotional and powerful chapter, I think. Vivian's story was already a good one in the original game, but it just has that added weight now because of those changes made to the script. But yeah, it's kind of just the Thousand Year Door, right? Which was already one of my favorite games of all time, but they've made it a little bit easier on the eyes, a little bit more accessible, and obviously have given it to a whole new generation of gaming fans, which I really love because I want as many people as possible to play this game because it's a masterpiece and one of my favorites ever. At number 3, I've got Super Mario Party Jamboree. In terms of sheer enjoyment, I think Mario Party Jamboree gave me the most joy of any game in 2024. But it does kind of feel weird putting a party game at number 1 on my list. So because of that, because it's not really a game with a story or any emotional depth, I have it here at number 3. Regardless though, this is an incredible game. I just released a video on it where I said I think it's the best Mario Party game ever. At least it's my favorite Mario Party game ever. No need to make definitive statements over here. It's easy to see why if you play it, right? There's so much content. It's so charming. It looks so good. And in terms of the gameplay and board play, it is as engaging and fun and varied and chaotic as ever. I'm not going to hold you if you're nostalgic for the old Mario Party games. In a way, I am as well. But I think the game does a great job of taking inspiration from every game in the series and putting it into this one and combining all of these different elements to make one really incredible Mario Party experience. And like I said, this game brought me a lot of joy in 2024, and I think it's my most played game of the year. I got over 50 hours on it as of recording this video. So let's get on to my number 2 game of 2024, a game that came out in 2023, Sea of Stars. Now, of course, like I said, Sea of Stars did not come out this year, but I played it for the first time this year, and boy, was I blown away. I don't know how it took me this long to get to this game, because it's really right up my alley, right? This is a game inspired by classic Super Nintendo RPGs like Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger, and I love games like that. I love gameplay like that in an RPG, and I think this game does so well with those inspirations and that gameplay. The action commands in this game are super fun. There's so many different special moves you can pull off, and the boss fights in this game are super fun. I also love the pixel art style in this game. It is so beautiful, and the lighting in this game is incredible. The lighting combined with this pixel art style makes the game so vibrant, so colorful, and so fun to look at. Plus, I love the story of this game. The characters were super fleshed out and super likable, and although the game takes a bit of time to get going, there's a twist after the first boss fight, and from that point forward, the story is incredibly captivating, and I just couldn't put the game down from that point forward. I adored my time with Sea of Stars. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. And if it came out in 2024, I might have put it 1 on this list. But I can't really justify that because it didn't come out this year. It wouldn't feel right. So I have a 2024 game at number 1 on this list, and it's a debate between this game and the next game for which one I think is better. I love both of them, and Sea of Stars loses points for coming out in 2023. That's my fault for not getting around to it until this year. I'll take blame for it, but I'm glad I finally did because I adored it, and it definitely deserves a spot on some kind of list, so I'm putting it on this one. Number 1 on my list is a game that I also don't have physically, but it's not the fault of Best Buy. It's because it was on Game Pass, and that's Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I'll be honest, I hadn't seen an Indiana Jones film before I played this game. I know, you can boo, you can throw your tomatoes, but I wasn't familiar with the series at all, which does mean that this game could be totally off in terms of the story and the lore, and I'm not seeing that because I haven't seen any of the movies. You'll have to tell me in the comment section if that's the case, if you've seen the films. But what it also means is I had a fresh view coming into this series with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And boy, did it blow me away. The story in this game is really captivating, and it takes you on so many different twists and turns. You can never really pin down where it's going, but it all wraps up and makes sense in the end. I love how Indy is portrayed in this game. He's very multifaceted, and there's many little nuances to his character that you explore throughout the story that I thought to be really meaningful and really flesh out his character in this game. But I think the thing I like most about this game is the exploration. You get to explore these vast open cities, whether it be an excavation site in Giza or the Vatican. There's so much to explore in these open areas, and it feels like there are endless things to find around every single corner of the game. There are also really in-depth side quests called field work that have you basically going on a wild goose chase across the entire city that you're in, trying to find answers to a certain loose end that Indiana Jones is trying to research, and I adored those. It's super fun to follow the little trails of information that you find and get to an answer in the end, and it also leads to some really funny and some really deep and revelatory cutscenes as well. The point is, if you just run through Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and don't stop to appreciate the little details and the little side quests and the little moments, I don't think you're going to get the full experience. This is a game that I took a lot of time to just immerse myself in the world of, and I am super grateful for that because I absolutely adored it. The combat in this game is also really fun. The idea is for it to be a stealth kind of game because you're fighting fascists and Nazis who have guards basically everywhere. And if you're not in disguise or if you don't, skirt around them so they don't see you, you're not only going to get the wrath of one guard, but about 50 different guards from around the area that you're trying to infiltrate. So you're supposed to have it be a stealth game, but there are times in the game when you can kind of just take on a bunch of different enemies if you don't feel like doing the stealth. Sometimes it is required, and I do think the stealth is really good in this game, but it is fun other times to just go ham on these different enemies with any object that you can find. Basically, any object laying around can be used as a weapon, whether it's a guitar or a bottle or the butt of a gun. There's so many different things you can just slam these enemies with, and it's so fun and so satisfying as well. I don't know if I'm going to do a video on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I still might, but if I don't, let it be known, this game is incredible. And for once, Microsoft has given us a killer app for Game Pass. It's #1 on my list, and I just adored it from front to back. And shout out to Microsoft, who, in my opinion, for the first time in their consoles generation, now about 4 years into it, have given us a killer app for Game Pass and for the Series X. Of course, it's also coming to PlayStation in 6 months, but forget about that. This game is super awesome, and for the first time, I feel good about my decision to purchase an Xbox, because it meant I got to play this game day one, and it was a blast to experience firsthand. Well, that's my list. Let me know, do you agree with my top 5 and my honorable mentions? Did you like those games? Did you hate them? What games did you love? What was your favorite game of 2024? Let me know, because there's a lot I missed this year, and I would love some recommendations of what to catch up on during the quiet months of 2025. Although, it seems like there's not going to be a lot of quiet time in 2025 because there is a lot coming down the pipeline in terms of gaming. Regardless, let me know your favorite games of 2024 down below. Make sure to like the video, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel for more content coming in 2025. It's going to be a big year for the channel and a big year for gaming, so you're not going to want to miss any of it. Make sure to hit that big fat subscribe button. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.